It's Ferryhill who are in the yellow tops with the red shorts, and Crombie Sports in all white with a blue and red flash along the front. And coming forward now, but picked up for Ferryhill. And it's David Morland coming forward for Crombie Sports with the first shot of this semi-final. Morland again, all the way back for Graham Keith. The goalkeeper Keith Moorhouse. Moorhouse has looked pretty safe during this tournament, but Crombie Sports really looked out after their first two group matches. They drew their first. I'll stop for the second as the shot comes in there, but that one wide. Crombie Sports drew their first match 1-1, and then were beaten 3-0 in their second, and that really looked like they were out until, incredibly, they won 5-1 in their last match against BSFC. That knocked out the 5th Division side, and it meant that Crombie Sports were through to this semi-final. And forward they come now. Graham Keith over on the far side. Gary Anderson, the man trying to challenge, picked up by Derek Watt, and the shot comes in, and that must be a goal, and it is by Quentin Niven, the man who scores there. And Niven actually scored 4 goals in that 5-1 decider against BSFC. So the first goal of the second semi-final scored by Quentin Niven for Crombie Sports. And the ball in the crowd there, back it comes. Referee for the second semi-final is Ian Wright. And I must say the standard of refereeing so far in the tournament has been excellent. The games have been allowed to flow. And I'm sure that's enjoyed, or added to the enjoyment for all the people here, and indeed for you people at home. Graham Keith forward for Derek Watt, and now Quentin Niven with a drive. And Niven, as I say, certainly one of the most important men as far as Crombie Sports are concerned. He's looked very good, has adapted certainly to this five-a-side game very well. Austin Hay now coming forward. He's been the scorer of at least a couple spectacular goals so far in the tournament in the earlier rounds, but no luck for him there. And Graham Morland, David Morland in actual fact, sending it back. Stephen Kidd in goals for Ferryhill. And Niven seeing plenty of the ball in these early stages. Again, both these sides play in Division 1. Now, neither of them having a particularly good season. Ferryhill in 5th bottom place at the moment. And Paul Russell's United, and, beg your pardon, Crombie Sports in 3rd place. So a free kick awarded. I think it's worth pointing out so far that I mentioned earlier the referees handling the games well, but there hasn't really been any trouble flaring up at all during any of the games so far. The players have been very well behaved, certainly no bookings or sendings off for the referees to have to worry about. Here comes Ian Davidson for Ferryhill. But that blocked, and it's been a little scrappy so far. A little scrappy in the early stages. Remember, Crombie Sport leading by 1-0. Quentin Niven, the number 4, who is about to take this free kick. He was the man who scored the only goal. It's been a good tournament for him, I must say. The shot there, and totally catching goalkeeper Stephen Kidd unawares. Graham Keith on the target, fires it into the net, and suddenly it's Ferryhill 0, Crombie Sport 2. And that's inside the box now. Worth pointing out that no players are allowed inside that dotted area that the goalkeeper stands in. If a defender goes in and plays the ball, it's a penalty. If an attacker goes in, it's a free kick to the defending side. Niven now for Crombie. He finds Morland. The shot off the boards, and goalkeeper Stephen Kidd doing well to block that shot. That's Ferryhill trying to come back once more. Ian Davidson now. And a determined run, good chance for Davidson, and he scores. That's well finished, because he was under a lot of pressure there, was Ian Davidson. But he kept his head, and with his right foot sending goalkeeper Keith Moorhouse the wrong way. So Ferryhill back in the game. Remember, 7 minutes each way as Crombie come forward once more. Stephen Kidd with a good save there. As I'm saying, Ferryhill back in this game now, because they did look a bit dispirited, 2-0 down. That's given them hope. But it's Niven for Crombie at the moment. Again, good fighting. And all the teams in this tournament have been very determined indeed. Austin Hay being penalised there for sending the ball well above shoulder height. And referee Ian Wright awarding the free kick. David Morland to take this one. That's a good ball. Good running by Derek Watt as well. He finds Niven. And it's back to Watt. And now coming forward once more with a right-footed drive, Graham Keith. No trouble there really for Stephen Kidd. And now it's Hay. He finds Davidson, back to Hay. And sliding challenge there by Morland, catching the heels of Hay. Morland. Again, Derek Watts finding a lot of space over there on the right-hand side, although he's crowded out this time. Niven missing out. Ferryhill coming once more, Austin Hay. Gary Anderson pushing forward, the first time we've seen him in a forward position. And Morland now looking for a bit of support, forced to come all the way, takes the right-footed drive. And that was very close indeed, almost catching out Stephen Kidd in the Ferryhill goal. Davidson, as we are approaching the half-time whistle, just 30 seconds left in this first half. Stuart Delgarno forward for Ferryhill. Austin Hay running into trouble, and now Morland picks up down the right-hand side. Delgarno over to cover. And I must say the players holding it up very well indeed. It's fast and it's furious out there. I think all the players out there throughout the afternoon have to be congratulated on their fitness as the half-time whistle goes. Half-time is Ferryhill 1, Crombie Sports 2. Ferryhill, remember, through to this semi-final. As winners of Section 2, they won on goal difference from Kemney Youth, who are already through to the final, as Kevin Walker comes on for Ferryhill in the second half. Kevin Walker wearing the number 3, and he has replaced Austin Hay, the man who scored a number of goals in the earlier rounds. Not quite so successful perhaps in this semi-final. Kevin Walker has replaced him. And on for Crombie Sports is Colin Ord. Colin Ord wearing number 5. And he's replaced Derek Watt, who did a lot of running up front in the first half. He certainly played his part. And at the moment, remember, Crombie leading by 2-1. Graham Keith coming over. The right-footed drive. And you can see that Stuart Delgarno, the number 2 for Ferryhill, wearing that long bandage there, obviously has knee trouble as he finds Kevin Walker. Now Walker scored a superb goal in the final qualifying match with Hull Russells United, the goal that sealed the group championship for Ferryhill. A superb left-footed drive in the turn from almost the halfway line. And certainly Ferryhill will be looking for a bit of magic from Walker, a very skillful, talented player, and they'll be looking for him to pull them back into the game. Keith now finds Niven with a drive, and a good diving save, one-handed by Kidd. As Ferryhill break over on the far side, Davidson forced to try the shot because he didn't really have any support, and he was never going to beat Keith Moorhouse from that range. Back with Keith Moorhouse, the throw out underarm, careless, and that fired in through the legs of Gary Anderson, past goalkeeper Stephen Kidd, fired in by Graham Keith, and that's his second goal of this semi-final. And Crombie Sports now lead by 3-1. And we've played 2 minutes, 3 minutes of this second half, so just 4 minutes remaining. As Davidson trying the shot for Ferryhill. And Delgarno pushing forward. He's crowded out. The long-range drive by Anderson blocked. Walker now, and again it's blocked down. Good running there by Colin Ord. the second half substitute for Crombie Sports. Here comes Davidson though, he's got Walker on the right hand side, goes for the shot, it strikes the post. And an own goal has scored there by Quentin Niven, the man who scored so many goals at the right end. And I don't know quite what he was intending to do there, presumably back to the goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper, Keith Moorhouse, not where Niven obviously thought he was. And that has given Ferryhill a lifeline once more. It's a tragedy for Niven, but at least his side still lead by 3-2. And here's Niven, and he scored at the right end this time. So his second, his third goal of the final. 2 of them for Crombie, 1 for Ferryhill. And he really has been turning out to be quite a character in this tournament, is Niven. As I say, he scored 4 goals against BSFC in that 5-1 win that ensured Crombie's place in the semi-final. And now he's scored 2 in this match, as has Graham Keith. The goals for Ferryhill scored by Ian Davidson, and that own goal by Quentin Niven. So 4-2 now for Crombie. And they must be fancying their chances of getting through to meet Hall Russell in the final. Walker, though, picks up, nice skill, finds Delgado. And that's now for Gary Anderson, trying the long ball through. But it never looked on. Graham Keith. Back to Moorhouse. One of the rules of this competition is that if the goalkeeper rolls it out to a player, that player can't pass directly back to the goalkeeper, so watch out for that. Gary Anderson for Davidson. He's got Anderson supporting him from behind. Morland and Davidson in a bit of a tangle. And that a free kick to Ferryhill. Walker losing out, and now it's 2 against 1. Anderson's coming back to help. A good challenge by Delgado. And Delgado plays the long ball forward. There's no Ferryhill player there. And Davidson picking it up nicely there from the bad pass back by Ord. But it's Walker now to Delgado. Delgado forward, and that's picked out again by Colin Ord, the second half substitute for Crombie. Finds Niven. Niven, the right-footed first-time drive, high into the seats behind Stephen Kidd's goal. And still, Crombie Sports looking a good bet for the final. They lead, remember, by 4-2. And Ferryhill by no means giving up. Walker, a push there. The referee waves play on. And now comes Ord, firing it straight at Kidd. Kevin Walker now. He finds well, and now the chance for Anderson, saved by the feet of Moorhouse. Anderson back well there, and that shows just how fast this game is. A free kick, I think, to be awarded. A rash challenge by Quentin Niven, in from behind on Stuart Delgado, and rolled out now by Stephen Kidd. So Ferryhill trying once more. Anderson forward for Davidson, trying to lay it out for Walker, couldn't quite find the space. Delgado with a drive, and now it's back with Anderson. That's a good ball. And the shot deflected. And now Moorhouse. Anderson pushing further forward all the time as time really against Ferryhill. Just 60 seconds remaining. Anderson again finding Walker. And Ferryhill are battling so hard, they're just not finding the space that they need. And Niven simply rolls it back for Moorhouse. So if this game hasn't quite lived up to the standards of that first semi-final between Hall Russells and Kimney Youth, it's still been a very exciting affair. Crombie Sport led 2-1 at half-time. They lead 4-2 at the moment as Ord comes forward for trying the chance. And a good dive. And saved by Stephen Kidd. Walker now, as the clock counts down. It's beginning to look very much as if Crombie Sports are going through to meet Kemney Youth. And indeed, the final whistle goes. The final whistle sounded there by referee Ian Wright. So Crombie Sports have beaten Ferryhill by 4-2. They'll go through to meet Kemney Youth in the final, and we will have a third and fourth place playoff between Hall Russells United and Ferryhill, and we'll also